than asking at the closing table.
Well, and we'll get into that in later conversations, but you're spot on because in all fairness, most of the time, your clients are acknowledging your efforts. Many times throughout the process, we tend to just overlook them and just kind of minimize our efforts.
Right.
And I think it's a disadvantage. I think it puts us behind the eight ball, and it doesn't really help us really deliver the message that we're using to get realtors and other business partners to be attracted to us.
Right. And the whole flipping the conversation is what I really took away from it. Flipping the conversation of, how do you define success, and would you prefer a lead or a referral? And then, like flipping it to nothing about, oh, we have great rates and service, but yeah, everyone says that.
Right. Everyone does.
So I haven't had a chance to actually try it in face-to-face. My first time is next week because I've been, pounding the phones and trying to get appointments, and, they're starting to build up. So I'm going to use that. And I got an appointment with a pretty big hitter. So.
Okay. Well, and that really is the whole point of the presentation is to, again, differentiate yourself against what everybody else is saying. Because I honestly believe you and I are not two different people. I believe we have the same level of ethics and morals, and I think we still care about people, and we love our job, and we're passionate about what we're doing. The problem is that the way in which we articulate it to people really is more self-centric than it is customer-centric. And that means to me that when we talk more about our value and less about what the benefit is to the consumer or our business partner. Agree?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Did we talk last week about the triangle of trust? Because I want to bring that up because I think it's equally as important in your dialogue with your business partners, because it again furthers the concept in a more visual concept of what it is that you actually do for a living. It's kind of like my brand.
Right. Yeah, we did not talk about that. We basically went over the three things about the leader referral, what makes it referable, and which one would you prefer, and how do you define success?
Right. Okay. So I'm going to show you the logo to my business. Are you on your computer, my friend?
I am.
Okay. I shared my screen with you.
Oh, yeah.
So this was, and always has been, and continues to be my brand. See, I don't believe that I do mortgages. I believe that my value to the people who refer me is not that I do loans. That's just what the product is. But my brand is something significantly deeper, and the meaning behind it is I run and operated what I call the Triangle of Trust practice, or a Triangle of Trust business. And the truth is that the Triangle of Trust really is all about our audience. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. So when we talk about what makes people referable, that question leaves people kind of dumbfounded because a lot of times they don't have an answer. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
And so what it is that makes me referable is the Triangle of Trust. And what that means is kind of like this. We're going to use Kevin Broughton as an example, or Scott Hudspeth as an example. So, Jason, you and I have been introduced to each other because I met you, and then somebody else somewhere had shared what I did with you and felt like you would want to be a part of it. So if we were to say in a normal transaction, Scott Hudspeth was the reason that you were in my life, I would have this diagram drawn out for you on a piece of paper, and I would go something like this. Jason, you know what? I'm honored at the right that you and I are able to talk. I'm ecstatic at the fact that you and I might have a chance to work together. But before we continue, I just need you to have an understanding of who I am and why it is that I do what I do. See, I'm really interested in working with great people who value my services, but I realize that I'm not for everybody. And that's okay. But I want you to understand where my value system lies, because I think it's vital in you understanding what my business is all about. So you were referred by Scott Hudspeth to me, and I don't take that lightly. See, I take Scott and I put him at the top right of that triangle. I believe that Scott's relationship with you is paramount. So if you're on the left side and Scott's on the right side of this triangle, You two have a connecting relationship. And at some point, that relationship rises and falls based on how your relationship unfolds. Well, when somebody endorses another person or a third party, that third party has a huge obligation of managing that relationship. And let me show you why. So let's say you and I decide to do business with one another. That means that my conversation with you and everything that I'm trying to figure out is all predicated on exactly what your wants, goals, and needs are. That has to be at the forefront of my entire conversation with you, because my goal isn't to do a mortgage for you. My goal is to have you go back to Scott and say thank you. If I can manage that, then everything that I'm going to tell you is going to be in your best interest. Not mine, but in yours. And if I'm able to succeed in giving you the willingness and have you even be compelled to want to go back to Scott and say thank you, what happens between your relationship with Scott?
Yeah, it should get better.
It amplifies, right?
Right.
Your business, your working relationship with Scott is amplified. He feels grateful. You feel grateful. He feels like he helped out a friend, and you appreciate the fact that he knew exactly what your wants, goals, and needs were, and he took you and he gave you the right information, and he put you in touch with the right person. Well, if I'm able to accomplish that with you, what does that make my relationship with you? Amplified as well, doesn't it?
Yep.
That means that I've accomplished honoring your relationship with Scott, and thus it improves my relationship with you, therefore amplifying the two relationships, mine and yours and Scott's. But here's the amazing part and why this is so vital for you to understand. My relationship with Scott is ultimately my biggest concern, because it takes a lot to get somebody to endorse a third party and to put their reputation on the line. And if I get you to go back to Scott and say thank you, what happens with my relationship with Scott? It gets amplified, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It becomes a win-win. So now Scott, being an advocate of mine, feels like and knows that I'm doing what's best for him because I'm taking care of his clients or his friends or his family. And the person that gets the thank you, and in this case, Scott, he feels awesome about it. So if we decide to work together, I want you to understand that ultimately my goal is simply to have you to go back to Scott first. And then when we work together, I would love for you to become a Scott. I need, as a matter of fact, I need you to understand that that's how my business grows. So my number one priority, if we choose to work together, is to take you through this process and have you be so thrilled that you will actually be compelled to want to tell somebody else about us. Frankly, telling the people in your life that you care about that you're buying a home, I'm sure you're going to talk to others about your lending experience while you're going through it. And it would mean the world to me if you could commit to doing that, because I want to help you as much as possible and to make this process as easy as possible. But I need the agreement that you're actually going to tell others that you care about me. Is that fair?
That's a good line. That's very fair.
So the mindset with this is, you listen to this, Jason, and you've been in the business long enough. This was not about me at all. I did not make the benefit of this about me at all. It was about the relationship between you and Scott. And in this particular situation, if you want to talk about what makes you referable, this diagram, this conversation that it is being recorded, this conversation, this diagram, this presentation actually identifies exactly why you are the best partner for a business partner to align with, because there's not another lender on the planet who can communicate this value and do it in such a way that everybody gets. I know, I can tell you right now, you're listening to me say this, and in your mind and in your head going, oh my God, that's exactly what I've always wanted. This is exactly the business model that I would hope to have. This is exactly what it is that I feel like I want to achieve every time I have a business transaction. Is that right?
Yeah, it is.
There is not a single person on this planet who doesn't relate to this diagram, who doesn't relate to this philosophy. They may never have been able to articulate it, but when you speak it, just like it is with you, it resonates at a very cellular level. You want to impress, you want to reframe your talent, you want to put yourself into a position where your realtors are not looking at you wondering why they should use you. then you start the presentation off with those 3 questions, you end it with this, and then you wait for them to start frogging you. Because the honest to God truth is, if the realtor or business partner, because it would be a CPA, attorney, financial planner, whoever, if they don't buy into this, understand the value, then the person you're talking to is not in the position where they actually have any career path. They're in what you would call a job. Period. Do you understand what I mean by that?
I totally do, because Carl White just posted something about that this morning. He said if this is your job, you need to figure something out, because a business is something that runs and is sustainable. A job is something you go to.
I'm gonna show you something that I posted. Are you on my Band of Partners website?
Yes.
Okay. So
On Facebook, you mean?
Yep. I'm trying to pull something here. So when you hear me talk about this, what kind of goes through your mind? Like, really, what is the feeling that you have? Because this is the feeling that I want you to tap into, because without it, when you communicate to your audience, you're not really going to have an impact. I want you to have the same impact on your audience as you're having right now. What do you think? What are you feeling when you hear me say this to you?
I'm
because you're going to be coaching with me for several weeks or months or years, and you have to believe.
I wholeheartedly believe it. There is no question about that. Okay. I need to practice. Like how you just said that, you can tell it's deep-seated in you, and it's not that it's not deep-seated in me, but I have to make it where it just rolls off.
You have to be conversational.
Right.
You have to be conversational, and it has to be genuine.
Right.
Consumers know when you're not. So what I have on the screen, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's just like some of the Freedom Club scripts. I mean, they're scripts, but, you know, Carl and Tammy have said it so much that it doesn't sound like a script.
Exactly.
So you have to make it literally part of your everyday.
Right. Well, it goes back to what your brand is. And here's what's on my screen. Do you see the the 4 stairs?
Yes.
I loved showing this to realtors as well. Not on the initial phone, not in the initial meeting, but this was always a great follow-up meeting to have, or a follow-up conversation. How many realtors do you know are in survival mode? 90%
95.
Of them?
Yeah, I was going to say, at least for sure there's 10% that are not.
Right. They have what you would call a job. Then you've got stability. You have a business. I know many people in our path that have that going for them. You and I have operated and probably spent much of our time in the success and career-minded arena. But very few of us ever get to the next level, which is the calling and significance. And me, I look at my life and I'm blessed because I've gone up and down these stairs 2 or 3 times, and I finally believe that where I'm at today is the place where I will end my career at, and that is in the calling and significance portion of sharing with men like you and people like you what I did over the last 20 years in my business. The truth is that when you look at yourself and you have to decide where you're at this level, what one of these 4 stairs that you're at, you have to make a decision on what you're going to start identifying with. The people that have a job have no brand, they have no articulation, they have no value proposition, they just don't. The people that have a business come into their work every day, work really hard, they don't work smart, they work really hard, and they have some stability. It's when you start developing processes and systems, and I know you're trying to hire somebody to be a freedom caller for you, when you start to expand your team, that's when you've made the commitment and your career is on the path that you will be on for the rest of your life. The problem is that the nuances of what your career requires you to do requires some outside guidance. That's why you're part of the Freedom Club and why you're even listening to me. The point is that in order for you to get to the place where you have great success and you have freedom, you need to learn how to expand your brand. And right now, your brand, you don't even know what it is. I'm hoping that through the conversations that we're having, you're going to be able to start identifying with what your brand is. And instead of talking like every other loan officer that has a JOB, and the fact that you're talking to realtors that have a JOB, I frankly am not looking at working with people that are 2 steps below me. Are you?
No, no, I'm not.
And frankly, if I call myself, I was on a business, if I was in the business level, I'd be looking for realtors and business partners that were having success in career, because I want to aspire to be more like them. So when we sit down with realtors and we have this, why are you referable, or what makes you referable, this isn't about pigeonholing them, and it isn't about being arrogant about it. What it is I'm trying to identify with the ones in the room that are really capable of having a career or have a career. Like, I know that there's whales, minnows, whatever Carl White identifies these people as. I'm trying to identify them right out of the gates because, frankly, I think 8 out of 10 realtors that you meet aren't worth your time. And so when you sit down with the agents and you're trying to qualify them, these kind of conversations help not only qualify your audience, but it also puts you at a whole nother level of being a consultant. And we'll get into that in the next week's call. But right now, your number one priority when you meet with agents and develop relationships is to find those agents that really are a benefit to your business. Do you follow me?
Yes, I do. Yep.
And any agent, and any agent that doesn't understand what the triangle of trust means and how important it is, isn't worth your time.
Yeah, and you know what? I know a lot of agents, but of my A-list, there's probably 3 of them that get this 1,000%. And even when they have a transaction, they say, I don't care where you bank. I need you to call Jason because I know your loan is going to close when it's supposed to close.
Right. And the point is that your audience, and when I refer to audience, it's anybody you're talking to about what you do, whether it's your client or whether it's your business partner, you have to understand that your brand is not about mortgages. Jason, you could ask anybody that was on my team, even ask Kevin. I was arguably the worst loan officer in the company. No question. From a standardized knowledge-based perspective, I was horrible. Guidelines, I knew how to qualify people, but anything past that, don't ask me to fill out a 1003, don't ask me to chase conditions, don't ask me to do anything. What I exceeded at was understanding the emotional intelligence that our industry lacks and focusing on ways to develop stronger relationships. And the only way that I could come up with a successful career was to develop better relationships and leverage my relationships to their fullest potential. In 2012, when I closed my business and turned it over to a friend of mine, I did over $15 million in loan volume. 63% came from past clients and current clients, and I referred out 25 purchase transactions to 5 realtors that I worked with, and that didn't include the listings. What's that?
Say that. How did you get the 25 referrals to hand out?
63% of my business came from past clients and current clients, meaning and I think the other 37% came from financial planners, attorneys, and realtors and CPAs.
Okay, so just by calling your past database.
I mined my database, but I also leveraged my current client relationships and got current client referrals. And I'll show you my lead tracker when we get to that stage. But the truth is that you can accomplish everything that you need financially if you became clear on what your brand is. See, my brand was not helping realtors grow their business. My brand was expanding and amplifying relationships. So every time a client referred me, that was because my client knew that I would not only take care of them, but they appreciated the fact that I was going to make them look good for doing it. Not to mention that if I'm getting 25 purchase transactions and I'm calling my realtors up going, hey guys, I got a new purchase transaction for you, qualified and ready to go find them a house. Who do you think was the prize? I was.
You. Yeah.
I didn't have to suckle to them. I didn't have to cater to them. And you know what would happen every time that a problem arose? My realtor was like, you know what, no problem, Doug. Just tell me what we need to do to get it fixed. There wasn't any drama. There wasn't any issue. There wasn't any whining or crying. And my agents typically went after and defended me against the listing agent if there was ever that kind of a problem. And that was
Right,
because
yeah.
my agents knew that I built my business on relationships, and they wouldn't be doing this transaction if I wasn't exceptionally good at what my brand was. That makes sense?
Yeah, it's powerful.
So the reality is that when you're sitting with realtors, you have a very, very small amount of time available to you to create a first impression. And using that time to reframe yourself in the light that you want to be viewed as and not in the light that they view you as because of their previous experiences. This whole dialogue over the last 2 weeks is really about setting the stage and identifying with what your quote-unquote brand is. The fact that you do mortgages is not what your relationship means to realtors. That's how that's how most of the loan officers in this industry, that's why they're all in the job and survival. That's where most realtors think most LOs are at. Just like we think that most realtors are in that job position. I'm not going to deal with realtors. They're not going to be my financial tidal wave. I didn't believe realtors were going to ever fund my financial success. Never were. I believe that my success was going to come in my ability to ask and leverage relationships when I've earned it. And I worked really hard at earning my opportunities.
Yeah, you're right. I can tell you for the first 8 years of now I'm in year 13, I didn't do this. It was all, oh, we have local servicing, blah, blah. Yeah, no one gives a shit about that. I shouldn't say nobody. There are people that do, but then they're not your client,
Right. Right. They're not. And so I believe in the next class, we're going to talk about our 5-point presentation that we give to clients, or at least the ones that I gave to clients. And the 5-point presentation is going to be something that you're going to systematically integrate into your business. It's going to be how you build rapport, the permission to reject, the establishment of the triangle of trust conversation, the point in which they're going to hate you, which there's a conversation that you have to have, and then it's the formal agreement. I would do that conversation with my clients, and it would take me, I got to the point where I could do it in 15 minutes, and then I would leave the conference room and my team would take over. So let me give you a real world example that just happened. So my business still provides me leads. I still get referrals. I got one last night from a past client of mine who called me up and said, "Hey Doug, this is Troy. One of my best friends is looking to buy a house. Before I referred him to you, I just want to make sure that you're still servicing loans." And I called him back and said, "I'm not, but my wife is. She'll take it over." So I had my wife, Denise, call Troy and got all the information. So this probably about a year ago, my wife, Denise, works for the company. She managed the West Palm Beach branch. And then when we married, she moved up to Michigan, and she's been here for 2 years. And so she handles all the referrals that I get still. And I don't market to my database at all. And they still refer me. My buddy that I turned my business over to took my database. I gave my database, and there's a long story with that. But needless to say, they're being solicited by other people,
right?
And they're still calling me. Not all of them, but I still get enough calls coming in. Okay?
Right.
So Denise, I get a call from Constantine. He refers me to this guy, Peter. And I said to Denise, I want you to see what I'm talking about in action, because I've been preaching this to my wife for 4 years, but sometimes you can be too close to the fire to appreciate its heat.
Right.
And so I've learned not to coach my wife. It's not a healthy thing for her and I. So we get into this conversation, and I said, I just want you to do your normal loan officer stuff in the meeting, but I want you to listen to my presentation. So I go into the meeting, and I have a conversation with her, and I prep her for what I'm going to do, and we go and we sit down with the client. I meet Peter, and for 15 minutes, I tell him exactly what I just told you. I talk about building rapport, the permission to reject, blah, 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 blah. 15 minutes goes by, and I leave. Denise comes back into my office an hour later, and she's like, "Wow, Doug, that was over the top." I said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" She goes, "You laid it on really thick. It actually kind of felt a little uncomfortable." I said, "Okay, that's fair. I'm not going to disagree with you. Here's what I want you to do. As you go through the process with Peter and his wife, promise me that every time they say thank you to you, you're going to say, 'Thanks for noticing. Remember, please don't keep us a secret.'" She's like, "I promise." I said, "Great." So they go through the process. They're buying a $480,000 home, and they go to Denise goes to the closing, and she's sitting at the closing table, and Peter leans over and goes, my partner on my project is buying his first home and he needs a mortgage, and I want you to work with him. And it was another $470,000 purchase. So she leaves the closing, calls me, says, I got a referral. I said, oh my God, that's awesome. Can you come and sit down and talk to me? And so she comes back to the office and sits down, and I'm like, okay, so I want to analyze something with you. So I'm going to break this down into 3 different categories, and you give me a high level of confidence or a low level of confidence response. I said, I set the stage about what our business is, and you did a great or good job. She goes, I think I did a really good job. I go, how many times did you ask them not to keep you a secret? She goes, yeah, maybe 2 or 3 times. I said, okay, that's fair. So you did a good job, and I set the stage, and you got a referral. I said, had I not set the stage and you did a really good job, do you think you would have been likely to get a referral? And she goes, I don't know. Well, I said, well, let's look at the last 5 transactions that you did. How many referrals have you gotten from the last 5 transactions? She goes, none. I said, okay, well, then it begs the question that there's a chance that your hard work didn't really pay off as well as you would have hoped. She goes, okay, I agree with that. I go, now, had I set the presentation, the standard up, had I did my presentation right the first time, and you didn't do a good job at being a loan officer through the process, what was the likelihood of you getting a referral? She goes, absolutely 0. Okay. So when you set the stage and you do a really good job, which is what you always do, there's a high likelihood that you're going to get a referral from that client. She's like, yes. Message received. Setting the stage is almost, if not more than, imperative than doing a really good job through the process. Because if you're an exceptional loan officer, you won't receive the 60% benefit of your clients advocating you to the people they care about if you don't ask. So everything you do every day, Jason, is at the highest level. There's no question you wouldn't still be in the business if you didn't. The problem is that we tend not to know when or how or why to ask, and it all comes back to because we don't believe that we are referable. We'd like to ask people for referrals, but I know a lot of people that ask for referrals, but they're not referable. And you know the difference, right? You can pick those kind of people out in the crowd. I know you know realtors that go, listen, a realtor is the best compliment I can get. And you look at them and go, yeah, you're right. You're never going to get a referral from me. Because they're genuinely not referable. And there's a difference. You can ask, but not be referable. The difference is that when you ask and you are referable, you increase your opportunities by 60%. I guarantee it.
Yeah, you're right. One thing that popped in my head when you were telling all this, like and maybe I need to change this. I don't have that upfront meeting. It's over the phone, or the realtor says, do an online app and then call him.
Well, maybe then are you surprised why your clients aren't referring you?
No, I'm not. I need to
say, you have to ask yourself.
Even if I meet him at Starbucks, I need to meet him.
Yeah. You have to decide, what's your brand? My brand is that I'm a really good cold caller, and I love meeting with realtors that don't know me, like me, and trust me, and I want to do that every day of the week. Or is my brand where I want to build I want to do an awesome job for somebody and then make sure that I capitalize on that to get them to refer me, because if I'm just receiving calls every day from people that go, hey, listen, Jason, my best friend told me you were awesome. I need your help. That's one brand. The other brand is I love picking up the phone going, how can I help you? And you don't know me yet. Right. I'd rather get the call telling me that they could use my help than me reaching out to people saying, hey, I want to tell you how good I am. So you want me to help you?
Nope, I agree 100%.
Make sense?
Yep. Yeah, so I need to change that.
Well, I mean, you have to first decide for yourself on, is what it is that I'm saying, does it resonate with you? And if it resonates with you, the commitment is now turning your entire philosophy about what you do on its head. So yes, you could do a mortgage without meeting somebody. That's apparent. Everybody can do that. But frankly, I wouldn't be doing my job if somebody simply just told me to fill out an application online. It's like going on to WebMD and trying to self-diagnose yourself. That's horrible. You might get it right at times, but most of the time you're going to get it horribly wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
So if you're trying to build a business, if you're trying to build some success, if you're trying to build stability, the reason I'm in this position, Jason, and this is not me tooting my horn, I've had so many battles where I got punched and kicked and beaten to a pulp, and I just kept coming back, and I don't know why, but maybe it was my football coach telling me that if it doesn't kill you, it makes me stronger. So I grinded it out every year for damn near 20 years. I got bored with meeting my clients. I got to the place where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't find excitement in meeting realtors. I don't get excited at meeting clients anymore. And I knew at that point I'd lost the jazz. That's when I went to Kevin in 2011 and said, is there something better? And he goes, well, there might be. And here I sit. I didn't do this. This position wasn't here waiting for me. I created it. Let me explain a little bit about what has happened. So in 2013, I started coaching 3 LOs. I still coach 2 of them. The other one wants to get back into it, but he's going through some struggles. The point is that my Band of Brothers website is up to over 65 people, and I coach 35 LOs on a call every week. And it hasn't been because I picked up the phone and asked people if they wanted me to coach them. Every person like you, like Ramsey, has reached out to me and said, I like what you have to say. Can you put me on a call for the week? It works at every turn. I'm telling people, do me a favor, Jason, if you could, if you liked what we're talking about, reach out to Kevin, reach out to Scotty, tell them how appreciative you are that I'm on the team and how much value I've been giving. And your response to me right now is if I asked you to do that, what? Would you do that for me?
Of course I will. Absolutely.
Oh, my God. See, okay, you've now just gotten a firsthand experience of what your clients are gladly willing to do for you when you provide them with value. Jason, you just gave yourself an inside look at exactly what your dynamic is with your clients. It doesn't have to be about mortgages. It's just honoring the relationship and putting their needs ahead of yours and asking them to go back to the person that referred you and say thank you. You want to build a successful, stable, growing business. I mean, you're not going to get 300 applications next week, but every client you meet is going to turn out to be a raving fan. And if you want to honor the questions that I asked you in the beginning of the call last week, if you want to be a referable partner to your realtors, this is where it has to start.
Yeah, this is awesome stuff because this is exactly what I'm going to go at them with when I'm having my coffee appointments, which are starting to build up. So you're right. There's very few, if any, that do this.
Nope. There's very few people that do it. Everybody gets it. I've got LOs that I've been coaching for a year who get it. They're not intentional. They're not deliberate. So you have to look at yourself on this staircase. Where are you?
Right.
Where do you want to go? Go ahead.
No, I'd say there's people in the Freedom Club that have been in it for 5 years that still hear the same speech and go, yeah, that would work, and don't do it. You know what I mean?
And there's the difference between being in a job, being in a business, being in a career, or being in a calling. I'm not interested. You know, what I teach is not, Gary Vaynerchuk talks about it. You can navigate your sea the best way you see fit. This is the way that I navigated mine, and it sailed me some great, great shores. I'm passionate about it, as you can tell. I love it because I know it works, and if you apply it, it works for every race, creed, religion, mindset, everything. You want to talk about amplifying relationships? Do this conversation with the triangle of trust and the 3 questions, and I promise you, not only will you feel better about yourself, but you will lose all the reluctance that you have for calling people who don't know you, because instead of you calling them trying to get them to help you, you're really calling them to help them and giving them a perspective of what you are now seeing. Most realtors don't get it.
Right. So what, and maybe this is a different call, but, the Freedom Club has the, hey, I hear you're awesome. I want to hear about, hear more about how awesome you are. Do you have any other suggestions for breaking that ice on a cold call?
You know what? It works. I mean, you can come up with 100 different reasons to do it. My call was always, hey, my name is Doug Catteray. I'm calling to you to see if I could spend 30 minutes with you, to see if I could help increase your referrals that you get from your clients for free. That was it. I mean, some variation of that, but I never told them I was a loan officer because, again, I don't want to frame myself in that light. They're going to pigeonhole me the moment I say I'm a loan officer, and I don't want that. And when they ask me, go, well, are you a lender? And I'm like, no, I'm not a lender. I'm a business partner. I happen to do mortgages, but my relationships with my agents is more of a business partner mindset because I've been able to help realtors grow their business, and I've got room for one more or two more, and I just want to know if you want to spend 30 minutes with me. That worked for me, but I know that the your awesome call works just as well. But here's where people fail. The moment that they get the coffee appointment, every loan officer has said this to me, I don't know what to say. Yeah, frog them. But big freaking deal. I know a lot of people that I like. I get it. I get that you guys share that, but there's no value proposition being displayed. I don't want people to like me. I want people to use me. I want them to work with me. And
I can't tell you how many times I see that on the Freedom Club website. Well, what do you say after you get when you're at the appointment?
That's it.
Close on time, awesome communication. Yeah, but you're right. There needs to be more. I'm surprised they haven't had you come talk yet.
Well, I was on the MMA call 2 weeks ago or something. I think 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, that's the one I missed.
I do it every now and again. But that's not I'm growing my practice the right way. I don't need 300 followers on the Band of Partners. I'm trying to prove to everybody what my mindset does and that it works at any stage. It doesn't have to be in service. It doesn't have to be in sales. It works right now. I know for a fact that the next time you talk to Scott or you talk to Kevin, you're going to remember me asking you to tell them, and just don't keep me a secret, and share that with maybe an LO that you talk to in the Freedom Club that works for the company. I don't care. That's the way I want my business, because I'm going to get calls from guys like you that go, hey, Doug, can I get your help with something? See, that's the way I want it to be done. I'm a much better partner if I'm not seeking you out and you seek me out, because my brand is what attracted you to me. See how that works?
You're right. You're 1,000% right. And like you said, it's exactly, the light bulb goes off. It's exactly what we got to do to both realtors and customers.
Yep.
They have to seek us, and that's what makes it click.
Exactly. That's it. That's my soapbox for today, brother.
Nice.
Did I blow your mind?
Yeah, you always do.
It's all downhill from here, brother.
Yeah.
that was my Oz moment. Everything after that is just making sure you apply it in little nuggets here and there. But this is the aha moment that we all come to. And if what you're feeling here today, if you can take the last 2 weeks of calls and use this in your presentations with your business partners, man, it's just a totally different arena in which you operate.
So I just want to say this one more time about your version of the cold call, so to speak. Hey, my name is Jason Schiller. I'm wondering if you have 30 minutes available for me to show you how to increase your business for free. That's it?
You could say that, or, I mean, you could try that, or, hi, my name is Doug Catteray. I wondered if I could buy you a cup of coffee and spend 30 minutes with you to see if you would be a good candidate for my program on increasing your referability with your clients. I like that one better, actually.
Yeah, I'm writing this down, so.
Well, I'm recording it, so I'll just send you the replay, and you can look back at it as well.
Okay.
Do it again. But yeah, I think
Awesome.
anytime you call them up and go, what, because again, when we call, it's all about us. I mean, we tend to be very self-centric about it. I wanted to know if I could help you. I'm calling to see if you would be a good fit for my referability program to help you increase your referrals with your current clients. Can I spend 30 minutes with you and see if you'd be a good fit? I didn't use the word I except once. You got to make it about your audience, not you.
Yeah, and you know what? And if they say no, then they're not a good fit right off the bat.
No. I mean, you can drip on them for 12 weeks if you want, but the ones that don't want to learn how to do that tells you either A, you caught them at a bad time, B, they have no business to speak of, or C, they're in a JOB, which frankly, okay, I'll drip on you for 12 weeks, but I'm not calling you. I'm just going to text you. And everything that I put up in the band of partners, those are nuggets that you can use with your realtors. Everything you and I talk about here today is the same conversation that a realtor can have with their clients. You want to build partnerships? Teach your realtors how to become more referable. Not just ask. Don't be weak. Don't just put it on your business card and not have a value proposition to offer. And don't tell me you're honest, hardworking, and you're dedicated and you work every day of the week, because that's bullshit.
Right.
Everybody says that. Right. Everybody does.
Yeah, and it's human nature that if you can not do something, you're not going to do it.
Of course. So give them in next week's call, I'll give you the 3 things that we get paid to do, which will also help blow your realtor socks off. It's all good. It's all the time we spend every week, my friend. I pour my soul into this to make sure it's valuable for you.
Yeah, no, this is awesome, and honestly, I kind of had a rough week last week, so this is, and that wasn't rough. I was really thrown off, and I called Scotty too and told him this. You know, there's some realtors that I know really well and have known for like 10 years. When I was just calling them to say, hey, you know, it's been a while, let's get together for lunch, and they did the let me call you back, and don't call back. I was kind of crushed, and it kind of put me in a funk. And
nope, I'm with you. I know rejection sucks.
And I was like, wow, why did Kim do that? I mean, Kim and I bartended back in the 90s together. Why is she doing this to me? And then, you know, Scotty's like, who cares? Don't stop calling her. Call somebody else.
Right.
And I was like, but this hurts. And he's like, get over it. You need to get over it.
Right. Well, I mean, you do to a point, but there's also that phrase that says, our life doesn't happen to us, it happens because of us. And as a result, if you didn't call her because you lost track of her, or because, I mean, was there something you may have done? Was it the lack of commitment to following up with her? Was there something that happened?
No, she actually just got back in the business. She quit being a realtor for like 8 years.
Okay.
Or probably 5 years.
So call her up and go, listen. Call her up and go, listen, I'm sorry we didn't connect the other day. Don't take it personally. But like, listen, I've got something I'd like to share with you. I would love to share with you how I'm teaching how my business is becoming more referable and how I'm able to get business from my clients. I would love to share with you some concepts that I'm being taught and how I could teach you how to become more referable with your clients. I know you're just starting out in the business. If you're interested, let's meet up for a cup of coffee for 30 minutes. It's the same kind of conversation. Just don't make it personal. Make it, okay, they're too busy. But I'm not going to let them reject me, because they're going to reject me because I'm going to tell them no before they tell me no. I'm going to pour my effort into trying to meet with them until I go, you know what, I'm just not really interested in meeting with you. You know, you're not interested in being a referable realtor. I get it. You must have too much business. But don't take it personally.
True. Right. Well, that's what I had to get over.
It's a limitation on their belief. Because in all fairness, if you were to call her up and go, hey, can I ask you a question? What makes you referable? Why do your clients use you? That honestly is one of the most powerful questions out there. Do you know, Jason, that every client that you meet with and every realtor that you meet with and every business partner you meet with, there is a white elephant in the room. You know what that white elephant is? Why should I use you? That's the white elephant that everybody has that's being sold. So instead of using that as a sales tactic, I address it because I'm a consultant. And I go, you're probably wondering why I'm a good fit for your business. To be honest, I'm wondering the same thing if you're a good fit for my business. So before I get started, I'd like to ask you a few questions. Why do your clients want to use you? Like, what is it? Because every client asks that of themselves within the first 10 minutes of meeting you. They're making a decision of why they want to use you. Chances are people use you because you were endorsed or you were referred. Would we agree? Great. I got a couple questions I want to ask you. And watch how the power struggle diminishes, and watch how the shift of respect takes place. Promise.
All right. Well, I'm gonna do that because I'm gonna be pounding more calls this week. So.
Go get them, killer.
All right. Thanks, Doug.
And do me a favor, man. Please reach out either to Scotty or to Kevin, and just it would mean the world to me that they know I'm doing a good job.
I will do that for sure. Promise.
See how easy it is? See, you're willing to do it, and I don't even have to beat you over the head with it. See? No, I'm being genuine with this conversation.
I know.
Do you see how enthusiastically you said it? And you're like, absolutely, yeah, I'll be doing a heart. Okay, look at that.
I'm not saying you
do any. What?
Right. It's saying you did to me what we need to do to realtors.
And your clients.
Right,
your
and
clients
the clients
as well. Because what I'm teaching you is what you give to your clients as it relates to the mortgage process. That's it. Set the stage. They'll do it as enthusiastically as you did. It's amazing. I'm not joking. It literally is frickin' uncanny.
I'm excited to try it. I'll keep you posted.
Let me know, brother. I'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks, Doug.
See you, buddy. Look for the recording. Bye. I'll send you the replay as soon as I'm done.